Rain poured endlessly the night everything in Alina's life shattered. The wind howled through the broken shutters of her small bedroom, as if the universe itself was mourning what she was about to lose. Her trembling hands clutched a crumpled wedding invitation, her sister's wedding, or at least it was supposed to be. But now that same invitation bore her own name beside a man she had never met, a man lying unconscious in a hospital bed. She could still hear her mother's cold words echoing through her mind. "You're doing this for the family, Alina, for your sister, for our name." That night, Alina realized she wasn't being asked. She was being forced. Before we dive deeper into this unbelievable story of sacrifice, fate, and the miracles that happen when love defies all odds, take a moment to hit the like, comment, and subscribe button if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances. Your support helps us share more stories that touch hearts and remind the world of humanity's hidden beauty. Alina had always been the quiet one, the forgotten daughter in a family that adored her elder sister, Zara. Where Zara was radiant, confident, and endlessly admired, Alina was soft-spoken, the kind of girl who lived in the background. Their family's hopes had always revolved around Zara, the one who would marry rich, lift the family's struggling business, and secure their future. And she almost did. Zara was engaged to Arman Malik, a young millionaire businessman known for his generosity and charm. The engagement had been the talk of the city, two powerful families joining hands. But fate has a cruel sense of timing. A week before the wedding, Zara's car crashed on a stormy night. Arman had been driving, and though Zara escaped with minor injuries, Arman wasn't so lucky. He had been in a coma ever since, doctors uncertain if he would ever wake up. The Malik family was devastated, but they were also angry. Rumors spread quickly, whispers that Zara's recklessness had caused the accident. In the business world, reputation was everything. And the Maliks, proud and image-conscious, demanded one thing: the wedding must still happen. But Zara, selfish as ever, refused. "I won't marry a man who might never wake up," she said coldly. "I can't waste my life like that." Her words sliced through their parents' pride like knives. Overnight, what was supposed to be a fairy tale wedding turned into a scandal threatening to ruin both families. Desperate to save face, Alina's parents did the unthinkable. They offered her instead. At first, Alina thought it was a cruel joke, but her mother's trembling eyes told her it wasn't. "You're our only hope now," her mother whispered. "If this marriage doesn't happen, everything we've built will fall apart." Tears streamed down Alina's face as she realized she was being handed over like a sacrificial lamb. The wedding took place in a sterile hospital chapel. There were no flowers, no music, just the faint beeping of Arman's life support machine and the smell of disinfectant in the air. Alina stood beside his motionless body, her hands trembling as she recited the vows that felt like chains, binding her to a future she never wanted. Everyone congratulated her parents for saving the family's name, but no one saw the emptiness in her eyes. Days turned into weeks. Alina visited Arman every day, sitting beside his bed, reading to him softly, even though she knew he couldn't hear. She told him about the weather, the way the sunlight fell on the hospital walls, how his mother cried every night. She didn't know why she did it, maybe because it was the only way to keep herself from breaking completely. But somewhere in those quiet, lonely hours, something began to change inside her. The more time she spent beside Arman, the more she began to feel a strange connection, as if her voice reached somewhere deep within his silent world. She started to believe, against all logic, that he could hear her. The nurses began noticing, too. They said his heartbeat steadied whenever she was near. His fingers twitched slightly when she read his favorite book, something she had learned from a dusty volume on his bedside table. One afternoon, while reading aloud, Alina noticed his eyelids flutter. Her heart pounded. For the first time in months, hope flickered. But hope was dangerous. It made you vulnerable. And Alina's family didn't care for hope. They only cared about control. Her parents insisted she keep up appearances as the dutiful wife, attending charity events and business dinners with Arman's family to maintain their public image. She became a living ghost, smiling for cameras, dying inside. Zara, meanwhile, had moved on, modeling abroad, posting glamorous photos online while her sister lived trapped in the shadow of her choices. Yet no matter how heavy it became, Alina never abandoned Arman. Every night she returned to his bedside, whispering stories of forgiveness, dreams, and what she wished her life had been. Then one morning, the miracle she had been praying for happened. As dawn's light spilled through the hospital window, Alina dozed off beside his bed, her fingers loosely entwined with his. A faint movement startled her. His hand tightened around hers. She froze, afraid to breathe. Slowly, his eyelids fluttered open. For the first time, their eyes met. It was brief, a fragile, uncertain gaze, but it was enough to flood her world with light. Nurses rushed in, calling doctors, shouting orders. Arman was awake. After months of darkness, he had returned to life. But for Alina, that was only the beginning of a new storm. When Arman learned the truth, that he had married Alina while unconscious, confusion clouded his face. He had no memory of the accident or the events that followed. His mother explained everything, but Arman struggled to accept it. He was supposed to marry Zara, the woman he had loved. Now he was bound to her sister, a stranger who had silently cared for him through his coma. For days, he avoided her. He kept his distance, cold but polite. Alina didn't blame him. She understood. She spent her days in silence, quietly fulfilling her duties while trying not to hope for anything more. But fate wasn't done with them yet. One night, unable to sleep, Arman found her in the hospital garden. She sat beneath the old banyan tree, humming softly to herself, lost in thought. For the first time, he saw her not as the woman forced into his life, but as someone who had sacrificed everything for him. He approached quietly, listening as she whispered to the stars, "I don't want his love. I just want him to live." Something inside him broke. In that moment, Arman realized the depth of her heart, the quiet strength she carried. He began watching her differently after that. The way she cared for everyone, the way she smiled despite her pain. Slowly, admiration replaced confusion. As Arman recovered, he started spending more time with Alina. He asked her about the months he had been asleep, about the stories she used to read. She blushed as she told him about the books, how she'd imagined he could hear her. Arman listened in silence, humbled. "Maybe I did," he said softly. "Maybe your voice is what brought me back." Their bond deepened gradually, built on small moments, laughter, and shared pain. What had begun as a forced marriage slowly turned into something real, something fragile yet powerful. Arman realized he didn't remember much of his old life, but he didn't need to. His heart was learning to remember her. But when Zara returned, everything threatened to collapse again. Seeing her sister's husband alive and the affection in his eyes for Alina filled Zara with envy. She accused Alina of manipulation, claiming she had taken advantage of Arman's condition to steal him. Their parents, desperate to protect their reputation, pressured Alina once again, this time to step aside and let Zara fix things. Alina was heartbroken. She couldn't bear to destroy the fragile peace that had formed between their families. So one night, she quietly packed her things and left. No note, no explanation, just disappearance. Arman woke to find her gone. Panic surged through him as he searched every corner of the house. When he finally found a small letter tucked under his pillow, his heart broke. "Thank you for giving me back my faith in life. You owe me nothing. Be happy, that's all I ever wanted." For weeks, Arman couldn't focus on anything. The house felt empty, lifeless without her laughter. It was then he realized he didn't just care for her, he loved her. He loved the woman who had read to him when he was lost in darkness. The one who had loved him when he couldn't even love himself. Determined to find her, Arman searched everywhere until one rainy evening, he found her teaching children at a small shelter she used to volunteer in. Her face lit up when she saw him standing there, soaked to the bone, but his eyes told her everything before he spoke. "You said you didn't want my love. he said softly, "but I can't live without it." Tears filled her eyes as he knelt before her, not with a ring this time, but with his heart. The rain fell harder, washing away months of pain and misunderstanding. For the first time, Alina smiled, a real, unguarded smile. Fate had brought them together in the cruelest of ways, but love had given them both a new reason to live. Months later, the same hospital that once witnessed their tragic wedding now held a celebration, not out of duty, but love. Alina and Armin renewed their vows, this time hand in hand, eyes filled with hope. The beeping machines were gone, replaced by laughter, music, and the soft hum of life beginning anew. Their story became a quiet legend, whispered among nurses, shared by patients, and remembered by those who believed in miracles. Because sometimes love doesn't begin with fireworks or fate's blessings. Sometimes it begins in silence, beside a hospital bed, between the pages of a book, in the heart of someone who never gives up. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. It truly helps us continue bringing emotional, inspiring tales like this one. Comment below. What would you do if life forced you into a choice like Alina's? Sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to the most beautiful destinations. And Alina's journey reminds us all that love, in its purest form, is not chosen. It's destined.